Hello, on this Friday, we have a somber anniversary tomorrow, Saturday the 22nd. It's the 10-year anniversary, believe it or not, of the Minneapolis tornado that did kill one person and injured dozens, nearly 50 people injured by it. This is a great map from Geolocated Minneapolis. It's a blog that does a lot of stuff with Google satellite imagery, but you can see the path. It started just south of 394, kind of hopped and skipped. It was an EF0 at that point, but then intensified as it moved through North Minneapolis as an EF1 tornado. A lot of big, old, sturdy trees knocked down by that. This is a radar loop from the La Crosse National Weather Service office, which shows the larger scope of that outbreak of storms that day. Started just after 2 o'clock in the Twin Cities, but then continuing through the afternoon and evening. And you'll remember that the Joplin, Missouri tornado was also that day, an EF5 tornado that leveled that town. So it was a big, severe weather day across much of the central part of the country, actually, with those storms. So again, started about 2:13. That's when the tornado touched down, through 2:34. So not a long period of time, but it did a lot of damage, of course, going through that dense urban area. On the ground for about 13.6 miles. At one point, it was a half-mile wide. And as I mentioned, 48 injuries and unfortunately one death. And it's actually surprising when we look back at that damage that only one person died with the amount of damage and trees that were knocked down. And again, it was part of a huge outbreak. You can see all the red dots were tornadoes from Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, and of course Minnesota, as well as Illinois, and then a whole swath of wind and hail reports too, of course. But Storm Prediction Center predicted it pretty well that day too. There was a moderate and slight risk in those areas. And of course, nothing like that, but we had some weak funnels and weak tornadoes, brief touchdowns. These were Wednesday evening, and these were just because the cloud bases were so low and there was just enough spin at the surface and in the bottom few thousand feet of the atmosphere as a warm front moved through. You get that shear and that directional change with winds. And of course, the big thing, rainfall, really kind of wiping out our deficit the last couple of days. First round of rain is what you see painted in west and then to the west, and then the second round coming through last night, so that many areas now have seen 1 to 2 inches of rain, and waves of moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. Of course, we can feel the humidity all week also, and that's just been creating these occasional bouts of showers and thunderstorms over the last couple of days. And actually, that area of moisture, we can kind of trace it all the way basically to Cuba. So this continuous plume of moisture feeding into Minnesota, all the ingredients to give us these pretty heavy rainfall amounts for some spots. But we haven't seen really the intense thunderstorms or downpours out of this. But that could be changing in the Gulf of Mexico. We have a possible tropical system, 40% chance of it becoming a tropical storm from the National Hurricane Center. And of course, this is earlier than hurricane season, just like last year, about a week earlier than when the hurricane season starts. So we'll see if that becomes a named storm. It would be Anna or Bill. There's another storm we're watching north of Bermuda too, but these are the 2021 lists of names, so we'll see if these become named storms. But also released this week, the Hurricane Center's forecast is for an active hurricane season once again, 60% odds of an above normal season, and they are forecasting over a dozen named storms and potentially 6 to 10 plus named hurricanes. So we'll see how this season plays out, but so far, not good. Last year started earlier than the hurricane season started, and it looks like it might be doing that again this year. Today's still a little unsettled. We see some peaks of sun, but maybe a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. They'll be pretty spotty, though. And then tomorrow does look dry here in the southern part of the state. Northern Minnesota sees some storms rumbling kind of morning into midday. Those will track on east, but we stay dry here. How much sun we get, that's the question. If we get a lot of sun, it's going to be a hot one tomorrow. But if the clouds linger, that could be a bit of a problem. And then next round of moisture, early Sunday, some showers and thunderstorms, and then again later in the afternoon, some could pop up. So best chance of 90 tomorrow is going to be in west central Minnesota. But again, if we get enough sun, we could do it in the Twin Cities too, but well into the 80s, even if we don't see fully sunny skies tomorrow. So it is going to be a warm one. And because it'll be dry, our warmest day here of the last few. So here's late afternoon on Sunday. You can see some storms popping, especially to the south. So we'll be watching for more in the way of some thunderstorms. But then as we head into early next week, Monday, Tuesday, these are very isolated shower or thunderstorm chances, and warm, low 80s, and should see a little more sun than we've had the last few days. And then a slight cooling trend heading into late next week, but still 77 on Wednesday. And right now, some mixed news maybe for Memorial Weekend. It's still a ways off, but we'll keep our eye on it. At least it does look mainly warm at this point.